Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
It's Alive is like a monster Frankenstein type theme of a game, and later on this was released as a game called Frankenstein, and also Burning Candle, which is super weird. That doesn't really fit at all, but the Burning Candle thing, what were they thinking? But the Frankenstein and this like monster we're building this up makes complete sense. That almost to the point I don't understand why they didn't put Frankenstein on it in the first place. So you're bidding and auctioning off these cards in order to create Frankenstein, the monster, really. And, you know, you're collecting all these body parts to put together. It's a fun little experience. This is a game that's like a budget game, a filler game. And if you had this down the table, I think you'd have a lot of fun for it. And it's a game that totally just kind of surprised me. It's not going to blow your socks off, okay? It's a budget title. You know, temper your expectations. But if you just want to get a little simple auction game, plays very quickly, it's a filler, you have some important decisions to make about which card you're going after and how you're going to auction. Do you want a random card, or do you want to go to that card that you really need? I've seen some blowouts. I've seen some very tight races in this. It kind of just depends on how the players are playing together. It's really cute. You can play with your kids, although the artwork's a little grotesque for two small kids. But on Halloween night or Halloween time, this game really works and it's fun. And then when you get all your parts, you go, it's alive! And it's really, I don't know, thematic. It's fun. Now, do you feel like you're building this monster? I don't know why you're auctioning it off. I mean, they explain all that. The Gravedigger's bringing it to you, and he's going. So you have this, you know, you flip over a card, and you can buy it for the price listed. You could sell it for half the price, and then stick it in your graveyard, and perhaps somebody else will have access to it. Or you can auction it off, and this is when the game comes alive. Is when you auction it off, because whatever somebody else bids comes to you, not to the bank. So if you just buy it, it goes to the bank. But if I auction it, I'm going to get whatever you pay for it. So I could sell it for 2, but if I'm able to get 2 from you, that's better for me, because now you're -2, but I'm gaining 2, but I'm also giving you the part that you probably need, because otherwise you wouldn't have bid, right? And there's a basic version where you just try to finish it, it's a race, and there's the advanced version where there's points assigned to everything. So you got to kind of think, well, I already bought an arm. This arm is worth more points. Is it worth burning a little cash? Maybe not make it to the end. I think the advanced game really comes alive. When I play with the kids, maybe the basic version. But if you're trying to play with adults, I think that advanced version comes alive. This is a game I kind of like. You know, it's not going to be the best game you ever play in the world, but it's a really fun little filler that I think has been totally missed by people. They've re-released it a couple times, so the sales must be pretty good. The Frankenstein version looks very beautiful. I wish I had that version, but I do not. I have It's Alive, which is still the basic version, a little more grotesque. I would prefer to have the Frankenstein. That one, I think that one looks really sharp. Maybe I'll try to track down a copy. But this is one I would tell you, look, if you're looking for a cheap budget Halloween title, this is it. This is a very good and fun experience that we absolutely do adore. It's Alive. You can see it's a very attractive cover, I think. I like the way that it looks quite a bit, actually. And when you open it up, you're going to have these standees that everybody will have. They just kind of have some thematic purposes to them to hide some of the information, and they all look exactly the same. And then you're going to see that you're going to have some cards and some tokens. Let's get this out of the way. And the cards and tokens, the cards are going to be kind of hard. They're thin, I'll be honest with you. And they're square, which makes them kind of hard, but they're pretty easy to see. They have the number on them and the body parts. So a little grotesque. And you're going to have these point chits that you have. And these are actually thicker than the cards. I kind of wish these were thinner and the cards were thicker. It might have worked out better for me in that regard. Nothing to complain about all that much. Each player will also get a little thing to just kind of sit there, and it tells you each of the body parts that you need. And then a player that will tell you like how to play, and has in 2 different languages, and what the makeup of the cards in the deck are, so you can see, you know, how rare they are, etc. Components are fine. I do wish the cards were a little bit thicker, but I think it works for just some, you know, a budget title game. I think it works fine. So the rulebook kind of looks like a brochure, if you will. It has a lot of words, and a lot of pictures of the table content. I mean, the contents of the components, but no pictures, the aim of the game, and kind of goes into setup. Then you start seeing a little bit of pictures about how to set things up and go through. The rulebook isn't that long. Probably takes you 5-10 minutes to read through it. I did have some questions after reading it. It's a little bit of an older game. It wasn't uber clear in a couple of things, which I just kind of had to guess at or look online. And I'll kind of go through those in the flow of the game and tell you. But for the most part, you're up and running with this game fairly easily. So I'm going to explain the flow of the game and kind of show you how things are going to work. On your turn, you can either take the top card of the deck, or you can take a card from somebody's graveyard. I'll come back to this in a moment. If you were to take the top card of the deck, you would take this, and you can either buy, sell, or auction it off. So I could just pay $4 and take my money and pay for it, and I could just take this card and then I would just add it to the body parts that I need if I paid the $4. If for any reason I couldn't buy it or didn't want to, I could sell it to the bank and I would get half of the amount. So I could just sell this to the discard pile and grab $2. And then I would just have $2 more in my account. If I didn't want to do that for whatever reason, or I knew somebody really needed this card, I could auction it off. And if I auction this card off, I would start the first bid. Maybe I would bid $2, and the next person could bid $3, $4, $5, $6, even higher. Whatever they win, I would receive that money. So let's say somebody bid $5 for it because they really wanted it. They would bid $5 for it, and then they would take the card. But I would receive this money rather than the bank. Now, if I bid $2 on it and nobody else bid, then I would just pay my $2 and I would get to keep the card. So it's kind of a risk reward. You know, if you're trying to auction something off to get maximum dollars, but just be aware that you might get stuck with it. And then this card either would be put down on your board, or if you already had it, it would go into your hand. Now, if you had another card there that wasn't quite as high, let's say I had a card like this with a 5 on it, and I was able to get an 8 here. I could take this off, replace it with the 8, the higher number, and put the 5 into my hand. Okay, so that's one thing you do, is take the top card of the deck. The other thing I could do is, like, say I really, really wanted this card. What I could do is I could buy this from somebody else's graveyard, paying half of the cost. So I would pay 1 coin, pay that off, and then this card I could buy, sell, or auction. So it costs you a little bit more to do this, okay? Now, if you were to sell a card, it goes into your graveyard, and that's how cards obtain in your graveyard. But I could also auction this off, or etc., from somebody else's graveyard, but I'd have to pay half of the cost in order to get it available to us. So that's an option that we would have. So the game is going to end when somebody fills up the whole thing. Then they go, "It's alive!" And that means you have one body part of every time. Now, in the basic rules, the first player to complete their monster is the winner. But the advanced rules, which I probably recommend to you, you will add up the numbers. So if I had something like this, and to say this is my final one, I had 8 plus 2 would be 10 points that I would have. Then you could score for any coins that you have left over at the 1 point per coin at the maximum of half of my score. So if my score is 12, even if I had 7 coins, I would only score 6 of them because it's half of what I got from the body parts. So keep that in mind. So then you add your 2 scores. Whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. So who should buy this game? I think this game can go with children. I mean, the artwork, may be questionable. Check that out before you buy it. But all the way up, to adults is a little bit light filler. I love games, like scary games I can play around Halloween. I really adore that. If you're into that kind of thing like I am, this may go up in your area where you're like, hey, I want some Halloween games that actually provide a pretty good experience. So if you're looking for a light filler, like the monster theme, the Frankenstein theme, this is a really good pick for you. And one I would recommend, it's exactly what you think. It's a very light little auction game with some decisions about resource management. I like it quite a bit. One I'd say maybe you missed out on, and maybe one you should check out. Don't expect, the next great Euro or the next great storytelling game, but for what it is and what the experience it gives you at the budget price that it does, you're not going to find a whole lot better. I like this one quite a bit. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, I suppose. I don't know. But it's one I'll be absolutely keeping, going in my Halloween collection.